Okay, well, good morning. Welcome in. Been a while since we've talked last, so I get the opportunity to get you guys caught up. Before we talked, we went to the Hy-Vee shootout, played Washington out of Kansas City, Kansas. Able to win that game, and then went over to William Jewell after the Christmas break. Played 3 good games over there. We beat Southwest out of Kansas City, Missouri. Then beat a state-ranked Lincoln Prep team, and then won in the championship against Rockhurst. Second time we played Rockhurst, beat them. Michael Hughes was named to our all-tournament team at Jewell. We got a couple days off, came back, played Kearney Friday. What would the date have been? 7th or 8th, 9th, somewhere around there, and got beat by them. They beat us 44-40. Didn't play well. Credit to them. They kind of took us out of what we wanted to do, but we didn't necessarily play very well and probably didn't deserve to win the game, which we didn't. That was a Friday night. Turned around on a Tuesday. Had North Kansas City High School come in for our first conference game. Beat them pretty handily, 60-35, to get our first conference win of the season. Get back on track after the loss, and then this past later this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we were in St. Louis at the Kirkwood High School tournament and played Eureka in the first round, won by 18. Played McClure North the next night, won by 9, and then played in the championship against state-ranked Jennings out of St. Louis, and then we lost to Jennings 53-49. So we sit at 11-3 on the year. The remaining games that we've got are conference games, so it'll kind of shift our focus, knowing the opponents that we're going to have the rest of the way, knowing that winning a conference title is really important. We've only been able to do that once, so our guys certainly have some focus to go about trying to get that done now. So I should mention that in the Kirkwood tournament, Michael Hughes and Joe Barry were both named to the all-tournament team. So a good accomplishment for them. And then obviously you guys had a part of this, and we had an incredible amount of fan support this weekend in St. Louis. We had half dozen, 10 students show up. We had players' families and fans that were there. So we had an unbelievable crowd, and then obviously we were able to stream it back here, and you guys were able to catch it. And I think I saw well over 500 views online throughout the tournament. So just a really neat deal, great support of the program, which obviously we really appreciate. So we are off this week. We don't have any games until a week from today, where we will go on the road to conference, and then we're Tuesday, Friday, pretty much from here out. So a lot of time right now to watch some tape, talk to some guys, get some meetings done, get some preparation and some work done from what we've seen up to this point, and then prepare for what we've got left. So we're looking forward to it. With that, open it up to you guys for questions.
What were some of the up and downs in the tournament in St. Louis this past weekend?
Obviously the ups are being able to play in the championship. We played well and were able to advance to the championship, which for us was significant because it was our 3rd tournament championship of the year. We played in ours, obviously, and then played at Jewell. So, we had a goal. You can't win a championship if you don't play in it. So we got the opportunity to play in it, which means that we won 2 games prior to it. And I thought that the way that we won those 2 games were contrast of styles. The earlier game on Thursday night was slow, not a ton of possessions, and then Friday night was the most possessions we've had all year. Scored 71 points, so more of an up and down game. And then Saturday, a little bit of the down. I don't know if we ran out of juice a little bit or what it was, but couldn't quite get over the hump. But part of it was a good opponent. I mean, we were down 9 going into the second half and fought and got back in it. Actually took the lead and then just traded baskets back and forth in the 4th, and we fell with about 45 seconds to go or so, and then they made a couple free throws. We made a turnover, and then we had to foul again. So it was just a lot of lead changes late in a good game, but I'd consider a lot more ups than downs. That's what you can get. We certainly learned more about who we are and where we can go, which was the whole goal of playing in that tournament.
How do you keep the team motivated when you have an off week?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel a little bit better about having this week off with the team I've got this year because of the senior leadership, because of the guys who've been through it before. Obviously we're a little bit concerned about how this layoff will affect us coming next Tuesday when we start and play again, because there's going to be such time off in between games. But I have great trust and confidence in my players and in my team that they will know how to handle it, that they will take care of themselves physically, mentally they'll get a little bit of a rest. We'll be able to make our minor adjustments. The good part is we don't have to go in and make any wholesale changes. So I would rather have a little bit of a break now and kind of gear up for the stretch run of the season in conference and playoffs. But the biggest thing is, how do I keep them motivated, is just making sure that we're communicating with them and relying on our seniors and our leadership to get our business taken care of.
Since the conferences have been realigned for next year and all the sports will play Liberty High School, does that affect your players at all?
Yeah, it probably does. It probably does affect them. The reason it'll affect them is exactly as your question is there'll be a lot of conversation about it. Everybody will want to know, when do you play Liberty, and is the first game there, is it here? And that's a lot of conversation for fans and students and alumni and different people, and that's neat. We're lucky because we've had the opportunity to play them. We already played them once last year, so that initial game is kind of out of the way, and then it'll take on its own story, I guess, once we get going. As a coach, it doesn't impact me at all, because it just so happens they're an opponent on our schedule. And one of the things I talked to our team about, and one of the reasons I think Kearney beat us a couple Fridays ago, was our guys, we placed too much of an emphasis on that game as players. We got too wrapped up in it. We got too emotional in it. We got too distracted about what we need to do to win the game. And that was a good lesson for us to learn, because every game is really, really important. And so from the outside perspective, there certainly will be more intrigue, more conversation, more interest in a game like that. But our coaches won't approach it any different way, but the maturity of our players will be on display for certain, because people will want to know and place more of an emphasis on it, I would say.
Have you noticed your team getting stronger on the court as they grow closer together throughout the season?
Yeah, absolutely I have. Absolutely I have, Allie. They you just go through these shared experiences, and you know how a team works. You have the ups and downs early. You're trying to figure out and define roles, and I have seen them, and I think that the play on the floor shows that as well. So yeah, I do think that we're getting stronger, we're getting better, and hopefully the best basketball's still to come.
Because you have an off week this week, is practice going to be more vigorous?
In stretches it will be, Lena. Yeah, in stretches. There's a balance to strike between getting the physical and mental rest we need versus staying sharp. So we'll take care of them. I'm not going to beat them up too bad, but at the same point there'll be a day or two in there that we got to put our hard hats on and go to work and get better. So I'll strike that balance with them, but I wouldn't say that it's going to be 4 or 5 days of knockdown, drag out, but there'll be days that's the balance of trying to make sure that you maintain the physical and mental, sharpness, crispness, versus, making sure you don't lose the edge too. So that's a balance to strike, but I'll get on that, but it comes down to our players being able to understand it too and try to simulate game speed and game actions and all those things during this week.
Do you think having those students and parents travel with you guys to St. Louis had any effect on your team and the way you played?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I really do. I think that when you feel not just basketball, but when you feel supported when you're doing something, I think you've got a little bit more confidence to do it. I think that you feel better about it. I think that even if you make mistakes, you feel like you got somebody there to help support you and get you through it. And it's important for us to always have that as a team, you know, with the 13 players and the coaches and the managers, to always have that. But when you get that little extra support, there's some added benefit with it. And I do think that there was something to be said for the positive impact that had. But just also, I think what it does is it shows our players, I hope at least it shows me, but it shows the support and the love and the encouragement we get from our fans and from the people who support us. And that's just, I don't care how long you've done it, how many games you've won, how many, you know, different places you've played. When you show up to a game 4 hours away and you've got 30, 40, 50 people there, it's really neat. I had numerous people from the opposing schools come up to me and say, "My goodness, look at all the people you've got here," you know, and that matters. But I also think it speaks well to the support of our program, and that's just a small example of the support we get from the fans, from the community, obviously the student body. So it's really neat, and I do think it had a positive impact on us.
How are you going to prepare the team for conference this year?
Well, I mean, I think that you know, Raytown's won it. They won it, and you got to knock Raytown off. So they'll be the team that'll certainly have the focus of everybody in our league. But as far as preparation goes, I mean, there won't be anything too different than there is any other night out. The advantage of conference is you see the teams twice. So you ask me now, I don't have a great answer, but in about 3 weeks I'll have a better answer, because we'll be seeing people for the second time. And so at that point I'll have an idea about the adjustments we need to make, the things that we need to do, because we get an opportunity to see them twice. So that'll be something that time will show. But I feel good about our chances, because we got a mature group, and I hope that translates to our on-floor success.
What are some goals you have for the team going into these conference games?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I have necessarily specific set out goals. I want us to continue to play in a way that you know, for the vast majority of our year, we've had success playing to our style, playing to our strengths. We've seen different styles. We struggled a little bit with Kearney, but otherwise we've seen slow, we've seen fast, we've seen man, we've seen zone, we've seen all different kinds of things. So as far as goals go, I don't know if I have necessarily anything specific. I just want us to, you know, focus on being the best we can at what's in front of us. And so for this week it's practice. Next week it'll be a couple conference games, but you know, just maintaining that mature professional approach about just taking care of what's in front of us.
How do you feel about your 100th win this weekend?
Well, it was neat. It was neat. Appreciate you asking. It was neat. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. It was neat to be able to share it with Dennis and Joe, Coach Price, and Coach Bunch. They've been with us since we started, so it was really neat to be able to have 100 collectively with them. They've seen every one of them. They've also seen the 58 losses too, but. It was neat, and it was neat too, probably more so than anything, was to be able to hear from some of the former players, hear from and talk to our guys afterwards. The parents were really kind and had a little, you know, get together, and but it was neat. But you know, the good news is we've kind of approached it in a way that, you know, you try to just approach each game, and it happens you've done it 100 times. So we will certainly take it, and I was very appreciative of all the nice gestures and comments and things that came our way. We tried to get one-on-one on Saturday and weren't able to, so we'll regroup and try to move forward with it. But with that, I'll wrap it up. Appreciate you guys coming in, questions, and obviously the interest and support of our program. We, you know, we'll have a little bit of an update when we talk next, but then we'll start getting into our conference season. And we've had great crowds all year at home and on the road, and I know that'll continue. But know how much we appreciate all of your support. And look forward to seeing you guys the rest of the week. Thanks.